up and got some things I want to talk about real quick. Um, one of I have three things I want to talk about. One of these things is Nicki Minaj at the UN. Let's talk about it.
This is the absolute best phone holder for your car. Your phone clips right into it and it attaches.
And shout out to Amala Punopi for this here. Let's go.
Hey guys, today we're going to be reacting to Nicki Minaj addressing the United Nations on Christian persecution in Nigeria. Yep, I never thought I would say those words, and you probably never thought I would either. But let's talk about it. Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better. Guys, before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe. Yes, today we're reacting to Nicki Minaj speaking at a United Nations conference. Yeah, this one is for the boys with the booming system, top-down AC with the coolest system. When you come up to the club, you blazing up, you got stacks on deck like you saving up. That Nicki Minaj. That Nicki Minaj is addressing the United Nations on Christian persecution in Nigeria. But here we are. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with this issue of Christian persecution in Nigeria and the persecution of other religious minorities, we're going to turn to the news to get you a little bit of the facts here before we get into Nicki's speech.
President Trump continues to ramp up calls for Nigeria to do more to protect Christians in that country. Let's take a closer look at the roots of religious tension there. The country is split into three sections, the north largely Muslim and at least partially governed by Sharia law. The middle belt, which is mixed, and the heavily Christian south. Much of the violence against Christians that we've been hearing about takes place in the northeast region of the country at the hands of jihadist groups like Boko Haram, as well as Fulani militias in the central belt and elsewhere. According to the International Society for Civil Liberties and the Rule of Law, more than 7,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria this year alone. Some 125,000 in the last 16 years, and more than 19,000 churches burned.
Okay, so there you have it, a little bit of a foundation for the issue that many politicians in this country, especially on the right, are talking about. Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, most notably. I think it's important to note that there are also other religious minorities who are being targeted in these attacks at the hands of predominantly Sunni jihadists who are going after also Shia Muslims among Christians. There's also ethnic battles in here, land battles in here, a bunch of stuff going on. And Donald Trump has been very vocal about the Christian persecution in Nigeria, calling out leadership to safeguard Christians, otherwise threatening U.S. intervention in Nigeria. Now let's turn over to Nicki Minaj's involvement, which I'm sure you're wondering how she got involved in this. She speaks, I guess, intermittently about different political issues online and sort of throws her hat in the ring when it comes to issues that she apparently cares about politically. She did so during the pandemic with the whole COVID vaccine. She's recently done so on this persecution of Christians in Nigeria. And I guess because she spoke out about it publicly, the United Nations invited her to speak. So let's get into this speech.
Well, thank you, Ambassador Waltz, for this invitation. It is an honor to stand on this stage with you and the other distinguished speakers here today to shine a spotlight on the deadly threat faced by thousands of Christians in Nigeria. I would like to thank President Trump for prioritizing this issue and for his leadership on the global stage and calling for urgent action to defend Christians in Nigeria, to combat extremism, and to bring a stop to violence against those who simply want to exercise their natural right to freedom of religion or belief.
There you go. I wonder how people are going to take her personally thanking Donald Trump. I feel like that's going to be a hefty issue for many within the rap community, many in the Black community. And we've seen this happen with other rappers who have come forward and given thanks to Donald Trump or been in the same room as Donald Trump. Snoop Dogg performed at the inaugural ball or something like that. I believe Nelly did as well. We've seen 50 Cent sort of throw his hat in the ring in a sort of conservative way that has gotten people up in arms about it. But of course, the Black community is not a monolith. The supporters of Nicki Minaj are not a monolith. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to support her speaking out about this issue and doing so in a way, you know, it's classy. She's at the United Nations conference speaking about this, which is something you just never would have expected from Nicki Minaj. So shout out to her.
I stand here as a proud New Yorker with a deep sense of gratitude that we live in a country where we can freely and safely worship God regardless of one's creed, background, or politics. No group should ever be persecuted for practicing their religion, like I recently stated on social media. And we don't have to share the same beliefs in order for us to respect each other. We're way beyond thinking or expecting or assuming for, the person sitting next to you to have the exact same beliefs.
Are we though? Because it doesn't seem like we are as a society, with the extreme examples of like what's happening in Nigeria and I guess in comparison, the more minor examples of what's happening here in the US, but each gives way to the other. We have to learn to coexist with others who we disagree with, who we do not share the same practices, the same traditions, the same customs, and the same belief set. I think we've grown far too accustomed to just pushing people out based off of the things they believe and our inability to just agree to disagree. Now, of course, that doesn't apply to more extreme beliefs like that of the jihadist Sunnis who are doing this like violent rampage throughout Nigeria, but you get the gist. And I know Nicki Minaj has personal experience with this because I've seen her share political posts that are labeled controversial because people can't stand them or can't agree to disagree. And she's experienced the low level in comparison to what's happening in Nigeria of the political persecution and religious persecution that comes with sharing your beliefs outwardly.
That's ridiculous. But that shouldn't make one person feel less safe than anyone in any room. Music has taken me around the globe. I have seen how people, no matter their language, culture, or religion, come alive when they hear a song that touches their soul. Religious freedom means we all can sing our faith regardless of who we are, where we live, and what we believe. But today, faith is under
good
attack
morning,
in way too many
Amy
places.
Fairbanks.
In
Good
Nigeria,
morning.
Christians are being targeted, driven from their homes, and killed. Churches have been burned. Families have been torn apart, and entire communities live in fear constantly, simply because of how they pray. Sadly, this problem is not only a growing problem in Nigeria, but also in so many other countries across the world, and it demands urgent action. And I want to be clear. Protecting Christians in Nigeria is not about taking sides or dividing people. It is about uniting humanity. Nigeria is a beautiful nation with deep faith traditions and lots of beautiful barbs that I can't wait to see.
Beautiful barbs. Beautiful barbs. It's kind of giving when Justin Bieber said, "I'd like to think that Anne Frank would have been a believer." Like, it's now the time to be talking about the people who listen to your music. I guess that they're trying to sort of like find this convergence with her being at the United Nations and why she'd be invited as somebody who does what she does to speak on this issue. And I do wonder about that. I can see the maybe cultural impact of maybe educating people who are typically not a part of the audience of the United Nations now that Nicki Minaj is there and sort of giving this issue a little bit more play. I can see the headlines going out and this getting more viewership and maybe more support for the Christians in Nigeria. But I do always wonder, what interesting choice of speaker.
When one's church, mosque, or place of worship is destroyed, everyone's heart should break just a little bit. And the foundation of the United Nations, with its core mandate to ensure peace and security, should shake. I am joined here today by peace builders, by faith leaders, by those who saw violence, saw rising intolerance, saw the threats clearly before us, and chose not to look the other way. I am inspired by their work to build interfaith ties, to see the humanity across the lines which might divide us, and to fight for security and liberty for all those who pray. I look forward to our discussion today, and I hope it will encourage deepened solidarity for us to urgently work together to ensure every person can enjoy the right to believe, to worship, and to live in peace.
So there you have it. Those are her notes. Those are her thoughts from the United Nations on combating religious violence and the killing of Christians in Nigeria. Now, of course, I'll say again, a very interesting speaker to invite to speak out on this topic, but she has been very vocal about it and I guess very willing to get involved, and she'll draw in a new audience of people to become aware of what's happening over there. I have heard Donald Trump speak openly about a boots on the ground response to this in Nigeria, which I am not the biggest fan of. However, I do think sometimes the threat and the vocalization of these things can often be enough to get leadership to get moving to safeguard the Christians and other religious minorities who are facing this heinous persecution in Nigeria. And you know what? If it takes Nicki Minaj coming to the United Nations to speak about this to get more people educated and up on it, I guess so. I also struggle with this idea, which I guess I'll speak to for just a moment, of wondering where we're supposed to be focusing our attention on any given day, because we're hearing similar calls in the Congo, Sudan, Palestine, just all over the world, Libya, Syria. It's a nonstop influx of just despair and oppression and injustice, and it can be very difficult to know where to focus your attention or what we should do as the United States of America. And I can't imagine how overwhelming it must be to be anybody who's plugged into the news right now. But I guess we all choose to focus our energy where we feel called to, and Nicki Minaj felt called to speak about Christian persecution in Nigeria. So good for her using her voice in a cultural facet of our society, rap music, that is often looked down upon and seen as being quite vulgar. And it is. Let's be honest, we can look at Nicki Minaj's music and find many an example of just vulgarity in something that is not really necessary to flourish, to educate, to learn, to be expanded as a human being. But you know what? She's using her platform to do more than that. And I say that as a person who actually does appreciate her music and appreciates the messages she shared at the UN. So shout out Nicki Minaj. Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. If you disagree with anything I said in this video, dig it out with your source.
Nicki talking about the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. I'm not gonna lie, it was not on my bingo card, but hey, if people are willing to hear her out, kudos to her. Let's get into this.
Create custom pins from scratch with the studio. From enamel pins to die-struck metal, every detail is designed.
What if there was a white woman in this same?
Before we get into it, this is a clip that I like to talk about. This here is not only medical neglect, but a little something that is also called quote unquote medical racism. Let's get into it. And shout out to Central Faith for this.
Predicament, and she still don't give a damn. Now, is it racist? This whole situation, in my opinion, is effed up. So this happened in Texas. This is Nick at Night. Love her. Shout out to the good sis. This story is insane to me. And as someone who has gone through birth multiple times, okay, twice, I've had 2 babies. Not only that, with my son, I actually was in the emergency room. Not for myself. Justin had to go to the emergency room, and I was pregnant, like about to pop pregnant. Didn't know I was going into labor at the time. Had a completely different experience, and guess what? That emergency room was packed, and still the bedside manner, the attention, all of that was the complete opposite of whatever the hell this is. So I don't want to hear anyone say, well, what if the hospital's busy? I don't want to hear that. I'm in the emergency room for Justin, sitting in the waiting area. It's busy. The nurses see me in pain. I'm not coming up to the desk, asking for anything, because I have a doctor I want to go to. Shout out to my doctor. I don't trust nobody else with birthing my children. But they were still checking on me because they could see I was uncomfortable. They could see that I was in pain. They were making sure that I was okay. Even though I wasn't checked into their hospital, even though they had a room full of people that needed to be seen, they were still being attentive to me because I was pregnant. I don't want to hear any of this nonsense about, well, the busy. It was busy. No. We're not doing that. Labor pains are no joke. I don't want anyone coming on here saying she's exaggerating her pain. No, she's not.
When's your due date?
Right now.
Is your due date?
What?
How many times have you been pregnant?
3.
This is your 3rd pregnancy?
Yes.
You have 2 babies
It's
at
in
home?
my.
You have 2 babies at home?
When When she's saying it's in my butt, that means the baby is there. You need to start pushing. Have we just lost humanity altogether? You're worried about all this clerical that can be taken care of later. This can wait. She's literally saying the baby is in her butt. That means she needs to be pushing, not sitting here answering these questions that don't need to be answered for you guys to deliver the baby. But no, we're not going to look at people as people. We're not going to be human in this moment and say, look, we need to figure out what we need to do to make sure that we get this baby out safely. Because every moment she's sitting in that chair, her risk of dying during childbirth goes up. Because guess what? What if she gets an infection? When you are pushing your baby out, you're open. Your baby is exposed. You could worry about that later. What happens if somebody comes to the emergency room with a gunshot wound to the ribs or to the head? You're gonna sit there and ask them, well, when's your date of birth? Is this your first time getting shot? No, you take care of that person. You deal with that later. Time is of the essence when we're dealing with healthcare. There are people where if they didn't get the help that they needed within seconds, that would have been life or death for them. We cannot play games when it comes to healthcare. And I'm glad that she was able to have her baby. Her baby came out safely. I'm glad for that. But this experience, it could have went left real fast. What if her baby was in there with the umbilical cord wrapped around its neck? You would have no idea. And the baby strangles itself trying to come out of the womb. What happens then? It's the lack of empathy for me. You're worried about this damn paperwork? We can fill that out after you get this baby out of me. You can ask me all the questions you need. This is unacceptable on every level.
Where's your doctor?
Lang is her doctor. Not only that, she has her mom there. So while you guys are getting her prepped to give birth to this baby, y'all could just ask the mom these questions and then just double check the answers after the baby is born.
Get her in a room. The fuck is wrong with y'all? Why is this woman not in a damn room?
Y'all treat all your patients like this or just the black ones?
This is where I have an issue with the mom. I get it. When you are told that you're a victim in every situation because you're black, then I understand why that might be the first thing to come out of your mouth. This situation, we didn't have to throw race into it unless you have actual evidence that she is treating only the black patients like this. You can't throw claims out there like that because people, I'm just going to be honest with you. There are a lot of people, when they hear race, they turn their brain off. I'm not saying that this is right. It's absolutely wrong because regardless, you should be able to look at this situation and still see that the hospital is in the wrong, regardless of how much they bring up race, whatever. You should be able to see that. Most people are not able to see that. You say race, you bring up a race in any conversation and people turn their brains off. People
Yeah,
who, if you
unfortunately.
had not brought up race, would have saw the situation and seen how terrible it is. The moment you bring up race, they turn their brain off because now they're just going to say, well, it's not race. How do you know it's race? And now we're not having a conversation about negligence within the hospital. Now we're having a conversation about race. Just like this issue with police brutality. This is an issue across the board. People of all races have experienced police brutality. And we could have had an honest conversation about solving that, about holding police accountable, about making sure that people are treated with dignity when they're being arrested and that you only use force as needed to the extent that you need to use it. Get these police officers that want to beat you up just because they're having a bad day, get them about the pain. We could have had an honest conversation about it. But no, we have to throw race into it. Well, they're doing it mostly to black people. It doesn't matter. The problem is still the problem regardless. Is it not a problem when it happens to white folks? When it happens to Latino folks? When it happens to Asian folks? No, it's still a problem. This type of negligence, whether it's happening to a black woman, whether it's happening to an Asian woman, a white woman, it's still going to be a problem. So where we can have a good conversation about how this hospital is negligent, we can no longer have that because y'all done thrown race into the conversation. And we know that not everybody can detach from the racial comments. They'll just be hyper fixated on it. Well, it's not racist. How are you going to say it's racist? And then now we're talking about race rather than talking about a negligent hospital. Well, do you do this to just your black patient? You don't need to say any of that. If there is a pattern of this hospital behaving this way with black patients, let that data expose itself. You're in a situation where you're at the mercy of this hospital. The last thing you want to do is be antagonistic. Just like when we're out at a restaurant and I know that the person is handling my food, I need to make sure that say, even if I have a grievance, I'm not going to be antagonistic because the last thing I want to do is put a battery in your back to spit in my food. You could still plead your case. I need you guys to take care of my daughter. She's in pain. Why can't you guys get us back there? Like, there's so much you could say that still gets your point across about how this broad is being negligent, how she's not doing what she's supposed to be doing as far as a healthcare professional. If this was my daughter, I would want to raise hell too, but you have to have tact. We cannot throw race into everything because that's going to derail the conversation. The conversation needs to be around this type of negligence when you have a mother that is giving birth, literally in the process of giving birth, and you're over here worried about what's your date of birth.
Everyone's the first application for you. Alright, last name is Jones. She's G3P2. Not sure what her due date is.
Her due date is
Just said it was the 10th. Her due date is the 10th.
She got 3 pregnancies, 2 babies at home. I bet y'all listen next time. When you found out you was delivering at this hospital, your ass should have changed doctors.
The 5000 Plus includes 5 kilowatt hours of storage, a 7200 watt inverter, has a 10 amp.
This some bullshit.
Everybody's
It really
This is some
doesn't
bullshit.
cost anything to have empathy, to check on someone. This woman is screaming in agony, and this broad doesn't care. It's casual, like this woman isn't screaming bloody murder right next to her. Wolf 10 Media said, "Wait, since when is asking date of birth racist?" That's not the part that would make this racist. If they wanted to make an argument about whether or not this is racist in similar situations, busy emergency room, called ahead, and the treatment is completely different. They're not worried about the paperwork. They're worried about taking care of and comforting the mother and getting her ready to deliver her baby. If you found a pattern of behavior of them only doing this paperwork is the first thing we need to do. We're only worried about the paperwork even though the baby is literally in your cervix. Let's worry about the paperwork when it's black folks. And then when it's a white woman in the same situation, oh, we'll do this later. We'll do this later. Let me take care of you now. Let me make sure that you're in the hospital. Let me make sure this, that, and the third. Then you can make the argument that there might be some racism happening at that hospital. It's not the fact that they're asking her date of birth. It's everything else. I don't think that you can throw that accusation out there without first establishing that pattern. Because guess what? What if there was a white woman in this same predicament and she still don't give a damn? Now is it racist? No. It's still negligence though. And that's why we need to focus on that aspect of it. The negligence, the medical neglect. Because regardless of race, that's what this is. If this was happening to a white woman, that problem would still exist. The only way it's a problem of racism is once you establish that pattern and you have facts and evidence to back it up.
we watching nurses, putting gloves on, running to the door. They get outside of the door, and I drive a black SUV, and they look at my vehicle, and one of the nurses come up to the window, and she goes, I'm sorry, this is for ambulance only. I said, well, my daughter is in active labor. And she was like, okay, she said, but you're going to have to go to the front.
Really, bitch?
I'm like, I have
Really?
to drive to the front. And they said, yeah, you have to drive to the front. Okay, another redhead. And so I'm like, so she's in the, you hear, and it was like, yeah, she started bagging up, hit the button, went back inside the building. So I go around to the front. I get out of the car. Again, this girl is in more pain now than she was when we first left the house. And she started saying, I feel pressure, I feel pressure. I said, take deep breaths. I ran in. I said, hey, my daughter's in the car. I went to emergency. They told me I had to come to the front. So the lady was like, what's your daughter's name? Told her Kiara Jones. She gets out some paperwork, started typing in her name. I was like, ma'am, do you have a wheelchair or anything? She's in a car. I need to get her in. Oh, if you check on the other side of those doors where the vending machine's at, there should be a wheelchair out there. There's no wheelchair out there. So she gets up, she walks in the back, and she come to the door with a wheelchair. She said, here you go, ma'am. I said, excuse me, you're not going to come with me? And she was like, no.
Even that is some nonsense. And I know it's bullshit because when we were at the emergency room, I saw patients pulling up with their car and the nurses going out there to help them get the patient into the wheelchair and wheel them in. I've seen it with my own two eyes. I saw the nurses in teams go out there to help get the patient in the door. That alone is already some nonsense.
Sounds to me this hospital ain't worth a damn. What it sound like to me.
A police officer was in the lobby. He gets up. He grabbed a wheelchair. He goes out the door with me. He said, come on, I got you.
Shout out to that police officer. Shout out to the good nurses. Okay, shout out to the nurses that they work hard. They need to be paid more. I 1000% agree. Nurses need to be paid more. Not these bum ass nurses, but the ones who take their job seriously. Shout out to the nurses that were helping me. Even the nurses that were not dedicated to helping me, they still would go out of their way. Like I said, when I gave birth to my daughter, this was my first time having a C-section. This was my first time being around anyone that had a C-section. So I had no idea anything about this whole entire process. They numb you for the C-section. They give you a catheter because you're not able to control the muscles down there. You're not able to sense when you have to go to the bathroom. And that was the part that I didn't know. I thought that because I had feeling in my legs that when I needed to go to the bathroom, I would know, but I didn't know. So I'm sitting here waiting to, have the feeling, and I get up to go take my daughter for a walk around the ward. I get like a few feet from my door, and I'm about to collapse. I had the sharpest pain right around my C-section, and I was like, I felt like I was dying, you guys. And before I could even collapse onto the floor, them nurses had me up in a wheelchair, one of those, bigger wheelchairs, and rolled me to the room. The lady literally took me to the bathroom, helped me get on the toilet, helped me clean myself up. I was in tears, you guys. I was crying my little eyes out. I felt so embarrassed. It feels weird when you have another grown adult helping you do that. It's kind of dehumanizing. But I'm sitting here crying my eyes out, and she is just comforting me, telling me it's okay, and then explaining to me what happened. Cleaned me up. I'm so grateful for all the nurses. I'm so grateful to Justin too, because Justin helped me plenty of times when we were at the hospital as well. Shout out to the nurses that have empathy, that take their job seriously, that want to help. They go into the field with the right intentions and they take their job seriously. Y'all need a raise.
And I'm like, oh shit, what is going on? And then she goes, it's in my ass. And I was like, what? And the guy was like, and she was like, he said, okay, she and she was like, give me a minute. She could not move. So when that contraction eased, we put her in a wheelchair. He said, you can go park your car, because they, again, had people out there. So I went park my car. It wasn't even 30 seconds. I run back in the building. She's just there with a stack of papers in her hand, screaming that this baby is coming. This baby is coming. I look at the registers behind the window, and they looking at me, and they was like, well, we can't do anything until she signed the papers.
So if someone comes into the emergency room unconscious, you're going to wait for them to wake up to sign some papers before you give them medical attention? If I come in with a gunshot wound or blunt force trauma to the head, blood gushing out of my head, you're going to tell me that we have to wait until I sign some paperwork before you give me medical attention? That's nonsensical. That's not how this works. Okay, I've never seen it operate that way. If you're not in dire need, which this is considered dire need because without medical attention, she and her baby could both die. So when you're in dire need, they take care of you as the human first. The clerical stuff can come later. The paperwork could come later.
Are you fucking kidding me?
With AI,
You can create any character you want in seconds.
This used to require huge Hollywood budgets, complex software, and tons of time.
But right now, all you need is a laptop
and knowledge of the best AI tools.
It'll cost you practically nothing, and it doesn't require a subscription.
In just 2 days, I'll show you how to unlock the most advanced AI filmmaking tools without paying a cent in overpriced subscriptions. You'll learn how to create scroll-stopping videos that rack up millions of views, make profitable online ads ads that blow up your brand, turn any idea into a cinematic short film that looks like it belongs in Hollywood. But you won't only learn about AI filmmaking in this course. I'll also show you how to create viral thumbnails with AI. With AI, you can create a realistic clone of yourself in just 10 minutes. I'll show you how to generate graphics for your website, how to script viral videos using AI that sound exactly like you. Over 10,000.
Are you fucking kidding me? So I grabbed the papers, and of course, it's all the ER bullshit that they have. And I was like, you want her to sign this, and she's in active labor. And they was like, okay. I was like, ma'am, she was supposed to be induced earlier today at 8 o'clock. And they called and told her that they will call her because they didn't have beds. And they would let her know. And no one ever called back. They called back every hour on an hour. And it was like, no, we'll call you back. And then finally her water break, she called them. They tell her to come in.
Her water broke. They told her to call in. So they were expecting her. So it's not even just she just rolled up out of nowhere. And even if she did, this still would be unacceptable. But she called ahead. You were expecting her. What do you mean we have to do all this paperwork nonsense before you can see me?
So why is she signing these papers? We need her in labor and delivery. And I was like, ma'am, I'm sorry. So the charge nurse comes out. And she saw the paper signed. What fucking, are you serious right now? And she closes the door. And then the lady behind the window at this point, my daughter, scribbled her name on all the papers. We gave it to her. She says, thank you. She walked it around to the charge nurse. She opened up the door. My daughter is literally like having a contraction. And she's just standing there in the door. So we push her into the door. I said, can we get her into labor and delivery? She said, no, we have to fill out all this paperwork. I have to do the paperwork and get her a band before we can send her upstairs.
What type of ghetto operation are y'all running at this hospital? Her water broke. That opens her up and her baby up for infections. Once your water breaks, you are on the clock to get that baby out. And every moment matters. What on earth would these broads say to this mother if she not only lost her daughter, but lost her grandbaby in this process of y'all worried about some damn paperwork? What the hell could you say to her? There is nothing you could ever say to this woman if y'all allowed her daughter and her grandbaby to die because you want to fill out some goddamn paperwork that can wait.
Fuck that damn paperwork.
I'll give it one more time. Are y'all waiting for paperwork if somebody comes in with a gunshot wound to the head? No, you administer care. You take care of the clerical later. When do we just remove humanity out of it? Like, if this was the olden days, y'all wouldn't even have computers or paperwork to do. This is some modern clerical red tape. If we were back in the olden days, you would have had her spread eagle ready to get this baby out. It wouldn't be no, well, I need to, No, remove the human aspect out of the situation entirely, behaving this way. How could you look at your fellow human going through this, and especially you as a nurse, you've seen this before. You've seen women come in, their water broke, in pain, contractions, all of this. So you know, and you're still choosing to neglect. You're still choosing to behave this way. People don't see other people as human anymore. You have to be sociopathic to behave this way in this situation. Why are you in healthcare? Go get you a job doing something else. This ain't for you, honey. Because to be a nurse requires empathy. It requires care. That's why when you go to the hospital and they give you the survey, they ask you about bedside manner. If it didn't matter, they wouldn't ask about it. Miss Anthrop, you said, nah, it's sadistic, mean girl, nurse-ish, who wants to feel like they're in control. Clock it. Wanting to feel like you're in control. All at the expense of possibly this mother's life and the baby's life. You know, there was another story where it was like this nurse, she was going around, and I believe it was more than just this one nurse. She was going around breaking the ankles of NICU babies. Babies are so vulnerable. They can't fight back. They can't do anything. Especially if you're thinking about a NICU baby, a baby that is born way before they're supposed to be born. They're going through it. And then you have funky ass nurses going around breaking the ankles of literal infants, premature babies. To take a job where you are working with a vulnerable population, you have to have empathy. You have to have understanding. You have to have the desire to help people. If you don't have that, your ass have no business being in a damn hospital. You have no business working with vulnerable populations. This is the sadistic heifer who was going around breaking the ankles of little babies. Unexplained fracture. This was in Richmond, Virginia. It happened before, and then like I said, they put her on paid leave, and then she came back and was doing the same thing. And then finally, because a family raised hell about it, they were able to finally arrest her and charge her with felony child.
So that was the video that you guys saw that I initially posted. So the next video that has no picture on it was when I was pushing her in and we was at the window because they asked me to move her from the window so they can take care of other guests or, you know,
Nah, that's
patients
bullshit.
that was coming in and
There's
out.
some bogus ass shit. There's bogus fucking hell. That hospital ain't shit.
She have a birth in a chair. That's what it is.
I can't take her upstairs without
Which is what? So you're
Bullshit.
And I'm glad that the mom said that. So you're gonna take the chance of her giving birth in this chair and getting an infection for some paperwork. Because like I said, once that water breaks, your baby is exposed, you're exposed, infections happen fast. What if that baby had the umbilical cord wrapped around its neck? Happens fast. There's so many different things that could have gone wrong. And I'm glad that the baby is safe as far as I know, as far as the updates on the story. Still, not every situation could have that outcome. You didn't just put the baby's life at risk, you put the mother's life at risk. Anyone who
Sure
is
hell
pro-life
did.
should be furious about this story. If you're pro-life and this does not piss you off or make you angry or make you want justice for this family, regardless if they brought up the race thing or not, if this does not infuriate you, my guy, you're not pro-life. You actually don't care. You don't care just as much as the people that go around saying, my body, my choice, I should be able to abort whenever I want. You don't care just as much as they don't care. Because if you are truly a pro-life individual, this situation where this mother and the baby could die because of medical neglect, it would infuriate you and you would want justice, because pro-life would have want this mother back there with the doctor getting this baby out as safely as possible. F the paperwork, it can wait. My fellow Black folks, I'm gonna need us to stop putting race into everything unless you have a pattern that you can prove. If you can't prove the pattern, then you can't bring it up. Focus on the higher issue, which is medical neglect in this situation. Because at the end of the day, if the person was white, this would still be a problem. Let's focus on what we can prove. We can prove medical neglect. We can't prove that this is racially targeted. Now, if more information comes out and we're able to build that pattern, then by all means, throw that on top of it. But the overarching issue is medical neglect.
This This set of add-on lenses and filters by the company Shift Cam is something completely different and maybe
husband's peen. You said it gets worse. It always gets worse. The fact that she is sitting over here glazing. Somebody go check on Akaash. Somebody go send that man a fruit basket. Okay, send him a subscription to BetterHelp. This whole situation is disgusting. It's sad. It's giving Aisha Curry on steroids. The lengths women will go to just destroy the image of their husbands, of their man. It has to be studied. You go out there, you embarrass your husband. It looks bad on a personal level because it's like, that's your man, that's your husband. Why would you want people to clown him like that? You know this is going to give him backlash, especially you got haters. You know he's going to get backlash from this, but you're going to still go out there and embarrass him and cause him mental turmoil. And then if we remove love from it entirely and just think of it as a business relationship, if you embarrass this man to the point where he starts losing sponsorships, people don't want to work with him anymore, he loses credibility, guess what? You messed up the bag. So it's just stupid all around to get out here and embarrass your husband, embarrass your man, embarrass the man that is a part of your household, the father of your children. It looks a damn mess. So if you guys didn't know, Akaash Singh, I think I'm saying that right. I think he's a comedian, okay? I've never heard him tell a joke, but apparently he is a comedian. Akaash, to his own word, has only ever been with this woman. A lot of people looked at him as a simp because of that. With this coming out, it makes it look really bad.
Yeah, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation. What I find corny is my preference is not my women. Now, I thought it was I'm not dating my women, period, which is the corniest human being outside of a criminal to me, period.
Akaash only dates brown. Akaash has been with one girl in his life who's his wife.
That's my wife. That's an
so this is like loyal through and through.
Sometimes I get so painfully nostalgic for college. Okay, so I was popping my and living my best life in these white.
Dude, your wife is a fucking whore.
You're doing what? With who? Where? Painfully nostalgic?
Your
Girl,
wife is
we didn't need to
a
know that.
whore.
I understand people have their feelings. We don't need to know everything that you're feeling. So, like I said, you could have kept this to yourself. You could have kept this playa. You could have felt this way this entire time. Guess what? We didn't have to know. But you know what? Maybe for his sake, it's good that we know. Well, not we, but he. It's good that he knows. He could either look at this and be like, course correct, or he could lean more into the dysfunction and stay with her. Painfully nostalgic. That means while she is with this man, she is with this husband of hers, she is thinking about getting ran through by other men. So that means you're probably thinking about other men while you're with him. You're thinking about other men when you're not with him.
Yep.
That is embarrassing. His wife is a representation of him, of his leadership. And if under your leadership, your broad is saying she reminisces, she's nostalgic about other men entering her, what does that say about you, Akaash? You ain't got no leadership. It seems like she's one of those broads, got with somebody as a might as well. Oh, I'm getting older, might as well get with this man. Might as well settle down. I don't think she likes him, because if you like somebody, you would not want other people clowning them. And you can't tell me that you're so ignorant that you don't know that the internet is going to do what the internet does. People get roasted for way less.
Yeah.
So you know how the internet works. I know you know how the internet works. We're not going to play dumb. So you understand the repercussions that are going to follow after this, and you still did it. And not only that, you did it multiple times, because there's another clip.
I'm actively trying to have an orgy because, and you
What?
haven't seen Nav yet, but wait till you fucking see him. His body goes crazy. His face card always slays, never declines. And it's kind of weird because I'm talking about your husband. I just know that Nav is like at least 10 inches. Okay, I have two butthole stories. So one time.
Okay, whoa.
Hold up. What
We need
the
to unpack
fuck?
the first part before we even. Girl, whoa. And the fact that this broad is kicking while this other broad is talking about her man's peen. This is dysfunction. This is some ratchet shit. Y'all over here kicking about his peen, about her husband's peen. You said it gets worse. It always gets worse. The fact that she is sitting over here glazing another woman's husband.
There's some hoes in this house. There's some hoes in this house.
Oh, you got a whole husband of your own. She's definitely comparing. He's not that guy, the guy she's describing, the guy she truly wants. This is a might as well, I need to get out the game before the game eats me live. She don't like that man. That's why she has no issue getting out here and talking about how another woman's man, oh, his face card, his body. She's like salivating at the mouth, thinking about another man and knowing that it's being filmed. You know other people are gonna see this. You are going on an entire humiliation ritual of your husband. This is something you do to an enemy. You embarrass the fuck out of an enemy. You don't do this to somebody that you love, that you care about. And this is why I was getting on Aisha Curry too, because it's like y'all have a family and you going out there and embarrassing your husband is embarrassing his brand. You're making the block hot for your husband. That's why I've said before, women, I'm sorry, we talk too much. We need to learn how to keep things to ourselves. When you're married, your business is your partner's business. You think, oh, I'm just talking about my sexual adventures. No, you're now talking about your husband because guess what? He wiped that up. You're putting that information out there. He wiped you up. Now you got him looking stupid. And look, I'm not saying that these men are perfect husbands. I don't know these men. They can be menaces. There are ways you can handle it without embarrassing the father of your children, without messing up the bag for your household, for your family. We don't need to know everything. Social media has conditioned everybody to just word vomit. Some things do not need to be online, but these broads, they're thirsty for attention, and secretly, I think they hate their husbands. Go get you some couples therapy. Hell, sit down at your dining room table and talk that ish out. Take us out the group chat, but they can't. People are addicted to attention.
Okay, I have two butthole stories. So one time I met this guy on Tinder and I made the dumb mistake of letting him sleep over, like not really wanting to hook up, and I like woke up in the morning and like my was a little sore.
Oh my God. They got kids. This nasty little heifer and Akaash, do they have kids? If so, my heart goes out to them if they have kids. Jay Tillman, you said no kids. Let's keep it that way. Do not bring babies into this foolishness. We didn't need to know that, and we don't need to know this either.
You watch when you use a vibrator.
Okay, not gonna lie, I don't want while using a vibrator. What? I just think my imagination is vibration enough. What? I'm just thinking of like my own husband while I'm like doing it.
Wait, that's kind of baller, but I could never do that.
Did she really just out her mouth? Bruh, it did get worse. Y'all wasn't lying. It did get worse. It got exponentially worse. What you mean? I can't do that thinking about my husband. She don't like that man. She don't like that man. She got with him so that she had a way out of Hodom. She wanted a ticket off the streets, and he got her the ticket. I feel like if he were to file for divorce, he should not have to pay her a damn thing. There should be something on the books where if you do this, you get nothing. And I'm not a big divorce person. I like when couples work through their problems, you know, unless it's a dangerous situation. I like couples work through their problems. But man, I don't think you can recover from this. Leave this hoe and then go get with somebody that actually likes you for you.
You and your husband split finances, and I'm gonna be real.
I don't.
We don't.
First of all, that's a red flag. I'm not like, no joke. I love you girls. If you want to work, all for that, whatever. But like any man that doesn't want to have a joint bank account or isn't being transparent with his accounts or has separate accounts, that's a red flag. This is not a two-way street. This is a one-way street. His money is our money, and my money is my money.
Bitch, go hell.
Because if
go
she's
straight
saying
to
this stuff
fucking
out loud,
hell.
What kind of conversations do you think they were having behind the scenes? Akaash must have some low-ass self-esteem to be tolerating this. She's a very attractive woman, right? Like, I'm not going to pretend. She's looking at Akaash and thinking, well, he's going to worship the ground I walk on because he could never get a baddie like me. So he's going to do whatever he can to keep me. Doesn't matter if I embarrass him. Doesn't matter if I talk about how much I'm lusting after other men. It doesn't matter. Why? Because he has such low self-esteem that he would never leave me because he doesn't want to lose someone that looks this good because he could never get somebody that looks this good. He has this low self-esteem. Despite being accomplished, people can still have extremely low self-esteem. Every single thing that the manosphere says about broads, this bitch is a amalgamation of all of them, all in one. She's an all-in-one modern woman. I do think marriage is a beautiful thing. I really do. But I understand why men don't want to get married. Heifers like this, they ruin it. Even if you're with somebody and you think that they're solid, in the back of your mind, you're always going to be wondering, especially if you are achieving at a high level, you're always going to be wondering, is she just waiting to rug pull me? And unfortunately, prenups don't protect you the way that they should. She is literally all the things that the red pill talks about, all in one, and Akaash put a ring on it.
And look, have I only made $600 from content creating?
Wow, it went up $100 from last week.
But that's my money.
Okay. I don't know if you watched The Boys, but I love him on The Boys.
I never watched that show, but like he's on my hall pass list.
Oh yeah.
Chase Crawford, Jacob Elordi, Austin Butler, and who else?
I think that's sick to even have the idea of a hall pass, to even think about having a hall pass. If you guys didn't know, a hall pass basically just means if you were to run into this person and they wanted to sleep with you as a married woman, your husband or your wife would allow it because they're on your hall pass. They're one of your, if I could ever, I would people. How is this affecting him mentally and emotionally? Everyone wants to think about empathy, and a lot of these bras, they love to say, I'm an empath. But then they can't understand that doing this could cause so much mental strife and turmoil.
Exactly.
They have no empathy for the men they're with. They have no empathy for men at all. And then we wonder why the S rates for men is so high. And unfortunately, society does not give a space for men to actually express these feelings and let them out in a healthy way. These same broads, I'm not saying she said this, but these same broads, they'll get on here and say, I want men to be more emotionally available. I want men to talk about how they feel. But then the moment a man does talk about how they feel, guess what? These bitches clown them. And then we wonder why men self-deletion rate is so damn high. But I'm so empathetic. That's what these bitches will say. I'm an empath. And I just feel what everyone feels and I care so much. Oh my God. Look at this loser. He said a woman essayed him. You must not be a real man if a woman could do that to you. That's how these broads sound. That's how these broads behave. These bird brain heifers, they don't give a damn. All they think about is myself, myself, myself. And they think because they say they're empathetic, they say that they're empaths, that it makes it true. Bitch, it doesn't.
You know why I think I have like a good marriage? I think it's because my husband's never here.
I have a good marriage.
Really,
my husband's
bitch?
never here. Do you have a marriage at that point?
What's wrong with
just have
you?
A contract. Somebody go check on Akaash. Somebody go send that man a fruit basket. Okay, send him a subscription to BetterHelp.
So I've been getting a lot of comments that I'm using my husband for clout, and yeah, that's exactly what it is. No lies were told. I am leveraging the support I have. It's kind of like nepotism, but like through my husband, so like spousal nepotism. What's wrong with that?
If everything else wasn't a problem, I wouldn't have an issue with that last part. Justin has different things that he's working on. If I use my platform to promote that, guess what? We're helping each other. If Justin has something going on and then I use some of his resources to help build my platform, guess what? That's contributing to the household because we're leaning on each other, we're building, we're utilizing each other's strengths, each other's access. If you guys are leaning on each other to build things up, then that's good. I don't see anything wrong with that because then you're contributing more to the household. So I don't inherently have an issue with that. I do have an issue with it once you tell me all of this, because that means you're throwing your man under the bus for clout. You're humiliating him to gain that following. I wouldn't be surprised if she's planning to leave him. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if she's getting her ducks in a row, leveraging all of this hatred and vitriol towards him online, talking about all these things she done did, talking about how she wanted to get ran through, talking about all this nasty nonsense. I would not be surprised if she's saying all these crazy things about this man in order to build up a following and then leave him, depending on those marriage laws, divorce laws, run him to the cleaners. I would not be surprised. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if she popped out with an OnlyFans. Somebody go check on that man, make sure that he's okay. Because the comment section under all the Flagrant videos, I'm not going to be surprised if they're eating his ass up. If Flagrant Podcast posts an interview that has nothing to do with relationships, guess what what's going to be in the comment section. You're a cuck. You're this. You're that. Nothing on topic. Effectively ruining the brand. Who's to say if Akaash may not get the boot from the Flagrant podcast if it starts to decline the brand? They might tell him he needs to get up out the paint because you're messing up the bag because you're a bum-ass wife. Who, man, you said she's trying to make him leave her so she can take 80% of everything. And this is why men are terrified of marriage, and rightfully so. That's why I said I'm not a stickler with doing things with the state, because guess what? Like this could happen.
Of why me and my husband broke up before we got married and why it ended up being the best decision we ever made. For those of you who are new here, hi, my name is Justine. I'm a stay-at-home wife, but I don't cook or clean because I don't feel like it. And my husband is a full-time stand-up comedian, and he buys me lots of nice things.
I'm a stay-at-home wife. I don't cook. Bitch, what do you do? Goodness gracious.
Sharing this because I share a lot of content with my husband, and I think sometimes it, is escapist and kind of gives you guys like this idea that we're in a fairy tale, which is so sweet, but it definitely wasn't always like this. And I want to normalize like true fights and issues that couples definitely go through. I met my husband in 2015. I was 22. He was 31. I was very young in life experience.
So all of this ran throughness, it happened by the age of 22? Or did this occur after you already knew him?
We fell in love like super quick. We're very enamored with each other, and everything just like moved.
Again,
really
good
fast.
morning, Jay
the first
Walker.
2 years, we would get in these
Believe
big
that's for
fights,
you.
but because we were so like enamored with each other, like we wouldn't last long. We would just be like, okay, let's make up and have makeup sex and like whatever. Like 2 or 3 years later, like around 2017 or 2018, the problem started to worsen because like the honeymoon stage had kind of ended, and fundamental like conflict started coming out where my husband would just like hold everything in, and then he would start like screaming at me, and then I would get really triggered because we both grew up in trauma households. So for me, like screaming was just like very triggering to me. If I would have a criticism, he would be like, oh, I'm never good enough for you. It would be like, how are you getting this from what I'm saying? And it would just turn into these like really, really toxic blow-up fights that we didn't know like how to handle. So then we decided to do couples therapy, which was kind of weird because we were like pretty young and pretty like new into our relationship. We couldn't afford like an out-of-network therapist, so we found a therapist at the White Institute, which if you are in New York City, I do definitely recommend them for like a cost-effective therapist. Like they can help find you someone. She was so amazing, and it was like kind of like the like light turned on for both of us. It would be like, Akaash, like when Justine says this is what she's trying to say to you, and Justine, when Akaash comes back with this, he's actually saying this. And it just like really like opened our eyes to how many of our fights were miscommunication. He was getting a lot of work from MTV, like his first show was Wildin' Out, and then he did Guy Code, and he was just like on a bunch of MTV shows, and he was able to like reach a 6-figure salary, which at the time was really huge for us. But then in 2018, like all of the opportunities started to dry up. He was kind of aging out of the MTV bracket, and he wasn't really getting any attention from the industry. So he was pretty much losing all his income, and at the same time, I was working a really toxic job with like a toxic manager and like working till 2 a.m, and it just caused a lot of stress on our relationship. I really, wanted to get married and like wanted to
Blah,
move forward,
blah,
and he was
blah.
like, I don't even know who I am as a man if I'm not even able to achieve something I poured 15 years into, and like I don't even know how I'm going to provide for you or our future as a family. And everything came to a head when my mother-in-law came to visit us, and I was being very distant because of everything we were going through. Akaash was very stressed, and I think she kind of internalized it like that I was being bitchy towards her or passive aggressive towards her.
How much you want to bet she was actually being bitchy and passive aggressive towards his mama? How much you want to bet she was doing all those things she's saying? I wouldn't be surprised.
Basically, Akaash did
Yep,
not
I wouldn't
defend
be
me, and I
surprised
was like,
neither.
okay, I don't know if I can be in a relationship with this person anymore.
So after this, we both took a much needed break, and we just needed time to reflect on our own outside of the relationship. I took a trip to India with my mom for my cousin's wedding. We went to see their Bar Sahib, which is the holiest Sikh temple, and I just wanted to find my identity again and reconnect with my spirituality. And similarly, Akaash needed to find his voice within the relationship and find his voice between his mom and me.
How much you want to bet she started getting slick at the mouth as soon as those opportunities started drying up?
Really, a couple months later, I just had this epiphany. We were still getting in fights, but Akaash went on his own trip to India, and my Nana Ji was sick in the hospital. He flew out of his way to go see him in Punjab. I woke up the next day seeing pictures of him, my Masi, and my Nana Ji, and I just like, I had this moment where I was like, okay, I know he's the right one. We're gonna make it through this, and like we can make it through anything. And I'm sure that this is the person I want to be with. 6 months later, we were engaged, and my husband started a podcast with his co-host that started generating income. He's able to like do the thing that he loved the most, which was stand-up comedy. I just feel like God burned our relationship to the ground so that the soil could like start fresh. And the reason I'm sharing all this is because I know a lot of times when you're looking on social media, it really does seem like a highlight reel and like, oh, they must have always had this perfect life. But it took a lot of like grit and blood, sweat, and tears. Okay, a lot of tears from me. And now me and my mother-in-law have an amazing relationship. My husband is so close with my family. Of course, we still fight. We get into huge fights sometimes. But I think just going through everything we've gone through has brought us so much.
The nerve of this heifer. It's like all is about our relationship. We go through all these different things, and then you're out here embarrassing this man. We know it's not sunshine and roses over there, the way you talk about your man. No happily married woman would be out here talking about their husband.
Make sure that when you are choosing a partner, you really choose someone that you know is going to support you through all the bad times, because life is like full of ups and downs.
Not you saying get with somebody that's going to support you while you give your husband no support, while you behave like an op of your husband. See, support for a lot of these broads is a one-way street. And I mean, she said as much. His money is my money and my money is my money. That's what support is for these type of heifers. You don't support your man, because you can't say that you're supporting him while you're getting out here and embarrassing the hell out of him, making him look like a dumbass, making him look like a little simp with no self-respect.
Do you know how exhausting it is when your enemy changes every 5 seconds? So I guess now these red pill guys like wanted to cancel us. Well, you can't get canceled by people you don't respect. And also, like, talk about beta male. How beta of you to attack women.
Woman, go fucking hell.
Girl, I'm just a girl. These are the same broads that say they can do anything a man can do. It's I can do anything a man can do until a man says something, then all of a sudden it's, oh my God, I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl.
Ew, like you're stinking up the comment section with your stink and your sweat and your during solid core in the parties. Like we don't want you in this space. But you know what I was gonna say though? I did go to solid core today, and you know what the guy said? He was like, so what do we do at solid core? We break down our muscle fibers and we create micro tears, because what happens, guys, when your muscle fibers break down, they come back better and stronger because they repair, and then you physically get stronger. So I'm like, oh, maybe going through all these cancellations and these hate comments or whatever, like it's actually making us stronger. And I know that in my life, like every time I've gone through any kind of suffering, like God has rewarded me with happiness and euphoria.
Happiness and euphoria. I'm about getting ran through by a bunch of men. You're nostalgic. You can't even flick it to your husband. Yeah, you're just so happy. God has blessed you so much. Telling us stories about how you woke up and your butt was hurting. Yeah, that's such a blessing.
Okay, guys, I want to talk to you really quick because obviously my name keeps getting brought up by either women or men.
My name keeps getting brought up, even though I'm actively going out and posting videos of myself on social media saying the most outlandish.
If this woman don't go to hell.
I'm joining podcasts, information publicly. You gave us this information. You gave us something to talk about, ho. We wouldn't be talking if you had to shut the hell up. If you hadn't said anything, guess what? This live stream would have had a completely different thumbnail. I would have watched completely different videos. I wouldn't be reacting to this right now. I wouldn't know who you are. You gave us reasons to talk, bitch. You added us to the group chat. I did not send you a request.
Lately, it's these red pill guys because I said my money, or what did I say? His money is our money and my money is my money, which is a common saying, whatever. I'm not even going to elaborate because I don't care to explain myself to them.
I don't care
Chick,
about
you
explaining
can go
myself to them,
fuck yourself.
but watch me explain myself to them. Proceeds to explain herself to them. Just be honest, you do care. If you didn't care, you wouldn't be filming this damn TikTok.
But what I will say is, if you're not going to be a man, women, like if you're gonna say, oh, women should do this for us and we're the prize and blah blah blah, at least be a man for yourselves. And what I mean by that is, so I just watched Don't Worry Darling finally on Netflix. It's like that movie from 2 or 3 years ago that everyone was talking about, spoiler alert. But basically these men live in this like virtual reality simulation.
So she's gonna relate it to a fictional movie. That's your argument. A fictional movie made by a raging feminist.
Everything is perfect. They go to work, their wives clean on them, wait for them. You know, they're like the wives are basically dependent on their men, like 50s aesthetic, but like the dark side.
At the end, you find out that these women never consented to be in this like virtual reality thing. And like when the women start glitching is when the memories of their real life start coming back. And there's this one scene where Chris Pine, the person who orchestrates this whole like utopic town or whatever, he tells Harry Styles to dance for him. And Harry Styles dances for him like a little monkey. That's what I feel like you guys are doing. Whether it's Andrew Tate or the Red Pill podcast guys, like when they tell you something, when they ask you to jump, you say how high. You're still not a man either way. Do you see what I'm saying? Like you're still a little
Go
bitch,
straight to hell.
beta.
There's someone I'm thinking of that we could say this very same thing to. That when somebody tells them to jump, they say how high and they start jumping like a jackrabbit. Oh yeah, that's your husband, right? That's your husband. We can say that your husband's a little beta bitch for you because he'd have to be.
Ooh,
Still be in that
talk
relationship,
about it.
dealing with your ass, paying
Talk
your
about
bills.
it.
Boy, doing whatever these men tell you. Why are you mad at us? Why are you mad if me and my husband are cool with each other, if we both make jokes at each other's expense? The difference is my husband will go on stage and say whatever he wants about me. No one has anything to say. It's like, oh my God, it's so funny, it's so relatable. But then I come on TikTok and I make jokes and now you have a problem?
Now, I am curious, to be fair, I am curious about the kind of jokes he's telling about his wife. Because if he's saying some real salacious things about his wife, then I guess you guys deserve each other. I guess I can leave that door open, or maybe he's joking about her in a salacious way, and then I could just say, you guys deserve each other.
Because I don't have a mic in my hand? Like, make it make sense. I'm not here for the...
With AI,
You can create any character you want in seconds.
This used to require huge Hollywood budgets, complex software, and tons of time.
But right now, all you need is a laptop
and knowledge of the best AI tools.
It'll cost you practically nothing, and it doesn't require a subscription.
In just 2 days, I'll show you how to unlock the most advanced AI filmmaking tools without paying a cent.
Deserve each other.
Because I don't have a mic in my hand? Like, make it make sense. I'm not here for the misogyny. One thing that I will say, being canceled by this, like, people doesn't affect me as much because I genuinely don't respect them. I'm just like, okay, like, talk about me all you want, drive traffic to my page. Our YouTube video, our podcast episode that me and Nahal did got 37,000 views, which for us is really high because we're just starting out. So I'm like, okay, keep driving traffic. I'm not even going to read any of the comments. So it's like, what are you doing this for? Like, there's no way you can be happy. Like, you cannot be happy just doing this. And I feel like if you honestly just try to find God.
Not this freakily telling us we need to find God. Not this freakily talking about how she wants to bust it open for a frat house, telling us we need God. Says you need a STD screen. You need some birth control. That's what you need if you're not already on it. You need a chastity belt. Bitch, that's what you need. Talking about we need to find God. After she done told us about a man run up in her butthole. We need God? Bitch, you need God.
I'm just gonna really just start it off here. Before you got in here, I was asking Akaash about, like, right, his first time, like, you know, with you, not as much, but like, how did it go with other women? Talking about never having a blowjob. What the? So, he's 34. How old are you?
25.
Okay, so like you meet him.
Yeah.
He's never had sex, and he's older than you. Were you like, ew?
Yeah.
It's funny because, like, the guy that I was kind of with right before him was also a virgin. And
I stole it from a black dude.
Fuck
What's
it.
up? I stole it from a black dude.
The black man was a virgin?
I know, right?
yeah. He was like really like on some principled shit, and I don't know. I don't know why.
Dude, you was the definition of a simp.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't want to lose his virginity, but when I met Akaash, I was at the point where I was ready, because I don't know if you told her, because I was...
Oh, no, I didn't know you were a virgin, too.
So I was a virgin, too, when I met him.
Didn't she just say that she was popping her pee in college? Didn't she just say that she was on Tinder and then woke up and her butthole was sore? So were these things happening while you were dating this man? And you were just screwing other people? The story isn't adding up.
That's why she don't know that it's trash.
That's why.
She don't know no better.
have no idea.
You gotta get him ignorant, you know what I mean?
No, so I felt like I was like at a place where I was ready, and then I found out he was a virgin, and then I was like, great. Like, do I have to wait again? But I think like we just connected very well that it was kind of, it went without saying that we wanted to.
How did you guys meet?
Show. She had a
The
fat ass and I
Hoboken
chased her down.
Wait, you met at one of his shows?
We're at the Hoboken Comedy Festival. And
and direct different. My wife also hadn't had any sexual partners, so that helped us connect a lot more.
Let me ask you this:
And
do you believe her?
Now I'm speculating with the information, so all of this is allegedly. So what it seems like, allegedly, is that he thought his wife was a virgin, but then after he married the broad, now it's all coming out about all of these different sexual excursions that she's had. You know, popping her pee at the frat house, hooking up with men on Tinder. I don't know how you recover from that.
If you've seen her, then it's hard to believe that. I remember I was just like, what? But she was 22, I was 31. There was an age gap.
Sure. Did you lie, or did you come right out and say like, "Oh, me too," or was it what did that conversation go like?
I don't remember how it came. I think she said it.
Blacked out.
She said it, and then I was like,
When she said, "I'm a virgin," you went, your heart exploded.
Yeah,
Well, you get happy. He said nothing compared to.
Exactly, dude. I was
a stallion compared to anybody else.
That's great. So happy.
Yeah, that's for
so
sure.
relieved.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it felt right. It was like, oh, God brought me this person that like we already connected, and like she also isn't having sex.
And that's I'm gonna leave this conversation here today. My sneaking suspicion is that this is not the last that we're gonna hear about this.
No.
That's my suspicion too.
No.
I'm at a loss for words. Y'all know I always have something to say. Even I am at a loss for words. It seems like he got, or he's playing dumb. I don't know. But what I do know is that everything she said was foul. Take us out the group chat. Just shut the hell up. Now I'm starting to
shut the
understand
fuck
why
up.
they were saying that women need to delete social media when they get married. I'm starting to believe it too. Delete that because these bros, they can't help themselves. They can't help themselves but to thumb thug on their husband. Hopefully, this situation with Akaash and his thought pocket wife, it gets resolved in a healthy manner. But if he doesn't want to hold her accountable for her, then guess what? I ain't gonna feel bad for him. If he chooses to stick with her ass, not my problem. I ain't gonna be sitting over here crying for you when you got all the information and you choose to stick it out with this heifer after she done embarrassed you.
And that's all I got for you guys today. Like, share, subscribe. See y'all later. Peace.